the United stand. I hope you're all doing well. We're going to be talking about Griezmann, Ligt, Sanchez, Longstaff, De Gea, Ziyech, Sessegnon, and a lot more. But very, very interesting day for Manchester United. I tell you what, it is starting to go silly. I'm glad we're doing Transfer Daily, and I'm glad that things are moving along with that. But I must say, it is starting to get very silly with the way things are going with Manchester United. And I just want to start off with Ryan Sessegnon, which I've just done a little video for Twitter about. Sky Sports understand that Manchester United are interested in Ryan Sessegnon from Fulham, who's a very good player. He's a young player. He's a hungry player. He would like to, if he came to Manchester United, he's exactly the sort of player that we should go for. But it's from Sky Sports. They're linked with Sky Bet, and I think everybody is starting to get a little bit sceptical about Sky Sports. They've not got a transfer right as a first source for a very long time, and that's pretty much since they started doing Sky Bet. So I don't think there's much in it. I've always felt that Sessegnon will go to Spurs. If he came to United, it'd be interesting. He doesn't really play left back anymore. He's more of a left winger, but we're interested in Daniel James, who's also a left winger. So look, again, he wouldn't be a cheap young player. I like Ryan Sessegnon. I just don't trust the news in relation to that. Been told by Lee Martin, Ollie's going to sell Lingard, says Joe Dunn. Well, you know what? Whether that's true or not, I can answer the question and say I wouldn't lose any sleep if Lingard was sold. I really wouldn't, but we'll see. Let's talk about the two headlines then, De Ligt and Griezmann. I'm going to start with De Ligt. Look. I'll tell you what I'm going to say about Griezmann. Up yours, don't come to my football club. That's what I'm going to say. So you can like that, or you can think I'm an idiot for saying it. I'll expand on that in a minute, but I want to talk about De Ligt first. Did you see the video that's been going around social media of De Ligt when Ajax win the league, and he's speaking to this massive crowd with the players behind him, and he's literally reenacting Russell Crowe in Gladiator. He's a man mountain. He's talking about Johan Cruyff, obviously died, but he had this philosophy about football. He's talking about the way they won football. He's absolutely huge. He's 19 years of age. He's priceless. That guy is priceless. I don't think we'll get him. I think Barcelona will get him. But we need a leader. I tell you what, if you stuck him next to Lindelof, wet dream, whatever, it would be absolutely fantastic. He is exactly what we need. And the fact that he's 19 and he's a leader like that, he'd be around for years. And he's a very, very good centre-back as well. He's brilliant in the air. He's only going to get better. And that leadership skill, it's just... Like I say, it's dreamland. And the interesting thing is, we're going to get hooked in and baited here, because the latest thing about De Ligt is, of course we'd love to sign De Ligt, of course we would. But the latest with De Ligt is that he wouldn't be opposed to coming to Manchester United. He quite likes the idea of being the player that goes in and sorts it out and gets Manchester United great again. But he's going to think about it and wait until after the Nations Cup, which is not till the middle of June. Personally, I think what this is all about is Barcelona and Ajax can't agree a fee. You throw United into the equation. Barcelona know United have got a lot of money. The price goes up and ultimately everybody's happy. Ajax get what they want, the higher fee. Barcelona get the player and De Ligt gets the move to Barcelona. I think he will go there, but I can't lie, what a great signing he is. And I'm so impressed. I mean, I was impressed with him anyway. As a footballer, I'm very impressed with him. If anyone's watched my FIFA career, he's my centre-back for what that counts. But what he's actually done in real life is very, very impressive. But it's the leadership. And this is one thing that I always, I'm bored to the back teeth. I'm not even the back teeth. I'm bored to the bloody lower colon with... in fact, I'm bored to the arse with Mourinho. I really am. I mean, I just cannot get my head around why people sympathise with him. I saw an article today from the BBC. Was Mourinho right about Manchester United and this squad? Well, of course he's bloody right, but he bought most of it. Shut up. He's an absolute clown. And I'm glad he's gone, and I'm fed up of talk of Mourinho, because he's one of the biggest contributors to why we are where we are. So why are we harking back to past managers? It's like when people go on about Van Gaal. We should have stuck with Van Gaal. I remember Van Gaal very, very clearly. It was Van Gaal. He's a contributor to where we are. Mourinho's a contributor to where we are. We are where we are in the worst position we've ever been since Sir Alex retired, because of those two managers and David Moyes. They've all contributed to where we are, and we need to move forward. Of course we do. But look, I really do like the idea of De Ligt coming to Manchester United, but I think it's going to be interesting as to what Manchester United can do with a player like that. But I do think that we probably are being used in relation to that. With Griezmann, I'm going to mention Griezmann now. Could give De Ligt captain's armband straight away. Well, yes, Dazo W, thanks for that contribution. And you're spot on, and that's what I was going to say about Mourinho before I talk about Griezmann. Mourinho had this obsession with experience, and Ollie seems to be doing this as well. But I've always said it, and a lot of you have always said it, leadership is not age-specific. It isn't. We've all worked with people who you go, bloody hell, they're young, but they're a leader. And, I wasn't like that. I'm a little, I have experience has made me a better, better at a lot of things, and I'll put my hands up to that, but it's not the be all and end all. It isn't. It really isn't. Some people have characters that they are leaders at a very young age, and De Ligt is a leader at a young age. John Terry was the same. So all this obsession with Ashley Young at 34, he's never been a leader. If I remember Ashley Young I remember him at Watford, I remember him at Villa because it's only down the road. You speak to a Villa fan and say to them, would Ashley Young be a captain? And they laugh. Now, maybe he did captain Villa, but he's no captain. But he takes the armband because he's 34. It's ageism in the wrong way. You can buy leaders, and De Ligt is a prime example of that. 19 years of age, and if he walked into our dressing room, he'd be the biggest character in there straight away, despite the fact that Matic is 30 and Mata's 31, and you've got Jones and everybody else who's been there for years, Jonah and Rashi. He'd walk in there and he'd ruffle some feathers because he's a leader. That's what his personality is, and it's not age specific. I get fed up of people saying, we need some leaders, we need some experience. Well, yeah, some people can be like that, but it's not the necessity. It really isn't. What about Luca Din from Everton, says Gamio? Well, he's a left-back. I don't think we need a left-back. I keep saying this. I think that the people who are picking on Luke Shaw are wrong. I think you're really wrong. It's not a position we need to improve on. We don't need a left-back. If we signed a left-back and we didn't sign a centre-back and a right-back, I'd be bloody furious. Don't know about you. I'd be furious. I really would. We don't need a left-back. We might need a left-back in the future, but for now, we're fighting for fourth next season. Luke Shaw's fine for that. We need a right-back. We need a centre-back. That's what we need. Anyway. Let me talk about Antoine Griezmann because he's a player that keeps coming up every summer. He's a bit like Ronaldo, but a B-Tech version. So today, United have been mentioned in relation to Antoine Griezmann, and it basically is saying that everyone thinks Griezmann's going to Barcelona, but don't count out Manchester United. Now, yet again, I think we might be being used by Atletico Madrid to boost the price up from Barcelona. However, the interesting thing is, if you look into these things, is that there's a lot of Barcelona fans who don't want Antoine Griezmann. They call him a spoilt child. They said he's not what Barcelona are all about. They don't want that sort of personality there. If you remember last summer, he basically led them up the garden path as well and then turned around and stayed at Atletico Madrid. He did a bloody documentary on it. Where should I go? I mean, it's the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. But that's Griezmann for you. He did it to us. He did. We worked 6 months on that contract with Griezmann and that transfer. And then because Atletico Madrid got the ban, he bottled it. Basically because he doesn't like... He's openly said it. He likes the sun. He is a little egomaniac. I don't care what anybody says. Griezmann is a little egomaniac. He likes his hair. He likes his tan. He likes his, he likes his sunny lifestyle, and that's fine. But I don't want that sort of player at Manchester United, and I hope that it is just a load of nonsense. But it's interesting that a lot of Barcelona fans don't want Griezmann either for the same reasons. So, because he is this egotistical player who actually, when you look at him, I do rate Griezmann, but he's not in the same category as people like a Neymar or certainly not a Messi or a Ronaldo. I don't think he's particularly that consistent, especially when you think about the games against Arsenal and many a time in the big games. He'll come up with a good free kick and a good pass and a good goal here and there, but he's not consistently that good. I don't actually think he's massively better than Dybala, and I don't really want Dybala. But it's interesting about Griezmann. The thing that, look, if we sign Antoine Griezmann, I'm going to back him. I didn't want Lukaku, I didn't want Matic, but I back them, and then they prove you wrong because they're United players. You can't dislike a player from day one. I actually gave Fellaini 3 hours, so I never wanted him either. So you have your suspicions about these signings, but if you make them, you've got to back them because that's, the club is what matters, and maybe Griezmann would be a 40-goal a season player and get the best out of Paul Pogba. But that's the interesting thing to this. Man with a GoPro says, penny for your thoughts, Mr. Mark. If I put in your time machine and take you to when Sir Alex Ferguson left, what you do differently going forward back then? I would have got Mourinho then. I think if we'd got Mourinho straight after Sir Alex, we would have seen a different journey for Manchester United. I think at that time, Jose Mourinho was still a very good manager. He was at Real Madrid at the time. He came back to the Premier League and he won the title with Chelsea. So I would have got Mourinho then. That's when we should have got Mourinho, straight after Sir Alex. And I think we'd have seen a very different journey. A lot of people think Sir Alex went for Moyes on purpose because he didn't want a big manager to come in and sort of continue his success or be better than him. I don't agree with that. I think they made a just made a big mistake with Moyes, but I would have got Mourinho then. But going back to Griezmann, the interesting thing about Griezmann is Pogba and Griezmann are pretty much best mates. If Paul Pogba has got Paul Pogba is fundamental to Manchester United's transfer window this summer, because if he goes, you ain't going to get Griezmann, because Griezmann wouldn't come here without Pogba, and I don't think you'd get Dybala either. But if Pogba stays, and United don't want to sell Pogba, Real Madrid don't have loads of money, Pogba's agent's in problems. It's all about whether Pogba wants to go or not. If Pogba decides to stay at Manchester United, and he has got an opportunity to barter here, if I was Paul Pogba and you're thinking about staying, before you commit to staying, I would go straight into Ed Woodward and say, look, I want to leave this club. 3 years I've been here. We're back where we started. I want to go on to better things, but I will stay if you bring in 2 world-class players to play around me, and throw the ball into Ed Woodward's court and see what he does. And if Ed Woodward says, okay, I'll keep you and I'll get you those players, then that's where our transfer strategy could change very quickly. Because I still think we'd be looking at people like Daniel James and whoever, but I think that if Pogba's staying, then maybe there would be a look at, yeah, we'll try and get Griezmann if you can help us get him. So that's where a Griezmann deal could happen. Of course, does Griezmann want to play in the Europa League and fight for 4th next year? Probably not. I don't think this deal's going to happen, but it could be fundamental to what Paul Pogba's going to do. But for me, if you watch old videos, if you type United stand Griezmann, you'll see me going on about Griezmann, how he'd fit the club like a glove. Number 7, brilliant player. Yeah, get rid of Sanchez, bring him in. It could work. But what I have seen with Griezmann over the last 2 years is something I'd sort of ignored, to be honest. And that was his ego. His ego worries me. And is that the right sort of player United need in a rebuild? Do we need a personality who lives up their own backside? And I don't think we do. And also, I think Griezmann's 29 during next season. So he's 28 at the moment. So he's no spring chicken either. So I don't know. What do you think about Griezmann? Get in the comments while I just answer this question from Andy M. Rush. He says thoughts on Sean Longstaff. So this morning it broke that Manchester United were interested in Sean Longstaff from Newcastle, who's a young midfielder. Very interesting, because I don't know anything about him, and I do watch Premier League football, but I've heard the name, but I never really, I've just not registered, so I can't, I'll put my hands up on this one and say, on Sean Longstaff, if I wanted to find anything about him, I would have to do YouTube videos, which I just don't do. I know most, like you lot, I know most footballers in Europe that we're linked to from watching games, but I'll be honest with you, I can't really remember Longstaff at all, even from the games we played against him. So the only thing I could say is, it's interesting. It's another young player who would come to this club and be in awe of it, hungry, desire, and if they believe he's got the talent to go to that next level, he could be a very good signing. But I haven't heard anything about him. And interestingly, I think Newcastle have said that he's not for sale anyway, so maybe there's nothing in it. Maybe it's just some rumour. I mean, funnily enough, it probably came from Sky Sports. Give us your thoughts on Griezmann anyway, because I want to move on to a couple of other things. But Dybala's better than Griezmann, says somebody there. It's whizzed through. I actually do agree with you. I do agree with you on that. I do. Flip Flop said he didn't want Griezmann the other week. Laugh out loud, says Kamak 123. That's pretty much what I've spent the last few minutes doing, Kamak. You know what you need to do? You need to clean your ears out, mate, because I've just said I don't want Griezmann at Manchester United. So how is that flip-flopping when I said I didn't want him a few weeks ago as well? So shut up or actually listen. Too busy typing out you hate, aren't you? That's what you're doing. Rabiot has an attitude problem too, but you said you'd take him if I remember correctly, says White Owl. Mate, again, I think you need to listen to what I'm saying. Rabiot is not making his own bloody videos about where he's going to be next summer. That Griezmann is up his own arse. Rabiot, as far as I'm concerned, is a bit, he has got a bit of an attitude problem. I've said it's a risk, but I think Rabiot's available for free, and he's a younger player, and he's not as egotistical as far as I know. I mean, look, I would take Rabiot. I would take Rabiot because he's free, and I think he's a very good midfielder. If he's as egotistical as Griezmann, then maybe it won't work. But I don't know the intricacies of Rabiot's attitude. I know he's got a bit of a problem, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But with Griezmann, there is no benefit of the doubt. We all know what he is. We've all seen the bloody documentaries calling himself one of the best players in the world. And how he handled that Barcelona thing last year was bloody ridiculous. So I don't think we need that sort of ego. Attitude can be a good thing. Mauro Icardi's got an attitude. I'd take him in a heartbeat. He has got an attitude, but he's aggressive and he's a fighter on the pitch. And I think that attitude could be tamed into a really positive thing. You know, attitude can be very different things. Rudy11 Full says, buy Koulibaly, De Ligt, Sancho, Tielemans now. I mean, that would be a very, very good summer. Nick P, the floodgates have opened again after that board meeting. We are being linked to everything that moves, praying we have a plan in place already. It's funny because when I was at United on Wednesday and I was talking about what I told you last night about everything, one of the interesting things that came out of the conversation, and there was a few people listening to it at the time, was that we are linked. This was from the club, the person I was talking to. They were saying we are absolutely linked to loads of players. And, you know, they actually quote, they said, over this summer, we'll be linked to over 200 players and we will only sign 0.01% of that, which I don't know what that is no, it can't be, no, we will sign more than that, but you know what I mean. So we will get linked to a lot of people, of course we will. I mean, a player I do like that we're being linked to is Ziyech at Ajax, mentioned in relation to Liverpool and Spurs and Arsenal and United. I think we'd all like him. He's a fantastic player, but again, I think we'll struggle. I mean, Ajax apparently quoting a price of 25 million. He's an absolute bargain at that price. You just hope. What you hope with Dutch players, and what you hope with Ajax is, I know people think De Ligt is out of the question, but Manchester United. I hate to say this, but I've always felt it. Dutch players, to me, always come across as purist footballers with a high intelligence, and I know that's stereotypical. But I know, you know, you think about your Hullits, you think about your Van Persies, you know, they always come across to me as intelligent footballers. And also, Holland, Dutch people hold Manchester United in high esteem because Dutch football has great history with the Johan Cruyffs and the Ajax and the Dutch team of the 70s and the 80s that won the Euros. They hold their football in high esteem. They understand history of football. And for that reason, Manchester United are held in high esteem by any footballer in Holland. So that is something to our advantage. On top of that, Edwin van der Sar is very high up in Ajax Football Club. So there is, you know, when people say De Ligt's not going to come, and I don't think he's going to come, but I don't think it's as clear cut as he definitely won't come. There is an opportunity there, and I think that runs through any player that leaves Ajax this summer. I still think that maybe a Ziyech or a De Ligt, if Arsenal wanted them and we wanted them, they'd probably come to United because they understand that United are a far bigger club than Arsenal. And you're going to get all your Arsenal fans now saying 5th and we're 6th and all this crap. But look, we're a much bigger club than Man City, and Man City have just won back-to-back leagues comfortably, really. We're a bigger club than Man City. I mean, Everton are a bigger club than Man City, and that will upset Man City. But yeah, you're winning titles. Yes, you've got the money. Yes, you've got the players, but you haven't got the fan base, and it's going to take you 10 to 20 years of continued success just to sort of get anywhere near the likes of Liverpool and United. And what if we start being successful then? Manchester United are a massive club. And that could go in our stead. It really could. But we'll see. We'll see. Can you recap really quick, please, says Troy Harriet. Well, you could just watch the video again. But essentially, Ryan Session's been linked to Manchester United from Sky Sports, so I don't believe it. Griezmann, Barcelona fans not happy with Griezmann because of his ego. United have now entered the fray, apparently. I personally wouldn't take him for the same reason, but I know a lot of you would. And De Ligt apparently has said that he is not switched off by the idea of going to Manchester United and being a big part of the rebuild, but he's going to decide his future after the UEFA Nations Cup in the middle of June. I still think he'll go to Barcelona. So there's your recap there. Sean Byrne, did you see we're linked to Sean Longstaff? Yes, Sean, I spoke about him about 5 minutes ago. I mean, there's so much going on at the moment. There is absolutely so much going on at the moment. Do you think if Manchester United was fan-owned like Real Madrid and Barcelona, would we be ran different? Also, do you think the Glazers will ever sell, says Philip Richardson? Look, the Glazers bought us on debt, and the value of Manchester United Football Club now is huge. The Glazers might sell, but they might just still see us as a cash cow and keep carrying on for a few years. I think if the Glazers are going to carry on, they're going to have to invest at Manchester United. They will. Remember, link in the video description. You can get your United Stand FC tops. You can get your hoodies. You can get your polo shirts for the summer. Links in the video description for that. I'm wearing this to remind people that we will be uploading. It's a week later because it's been a busy week for United. But it will be going up this weekend. United Stand FC first official game will be going up on this channel over the weekend. All I can say is I do see red. It's well worth a watch. That'll be coming up over the weekend. And if you want to support the team, we'll be giving out details of the fixtures because we've got loads over the summer. And also you can support us by getting your kits. You've got the black kit if you want to get that one. Short sleeves. I always wear long sleeve. It's superstition. But the link's in the video description for that. And look forward to the video. Let's talk about Alexis Sanchez and David De Gea for a moment. Alexis Sanchez is being linked with Inter and Juventus. Now, I don't know whether there's any truth in this, but it seems to be happening quite a lot. And I don't know whether it's going to be a loan or a real deal. And I say a real deal, I mean get him out the club permanently. If we could sell Alexis Sanchez this summer, I would be doing cartwheels, and I can't do them. So I'd have to learn and do some watching of YouTube videos. But personally, I think it'll be a loan deal. But to be honest with you, I think that I'm not massively concerned about Alexis Sanchez going on loan to Italy because I watch a lot of Italian football. I've watched it for like 20 odd years and it's slow. It's slow compared to the Premier League. So, and I've seen Alexis Sanchez lots of times this season and I've seen him play 3 or 4 times in real life at Old Trafford and he's slow. He's lost the yard of pace. That's his biggest problem. I still think he's quite a decent footballer. But in regards to the Premier League, he's lost a yard of pace. And the game he plays, that's a massive problem for him. I remember a few times against, I think it was Crystal Palace, Pogba was slipping him in. And, no, it wasn't Crystal Palace. It was the game we won. It was Southampton when he went off injured. Pogba was slipping him in. He was making the run correctly, but he just couldn't get to the ball because he hasn't got the pace. If he goes to Juventus, I think Alexis Sanchez will have a good season. And I think if he goes to Inter, he could have a good season because it's a slower league. And I think that yard of pace he's lost will level up in an Italian league. And I think also if he goes on loan, I think some people think, well, what if he has a good season? Will he come back? No, I don't think it's about that. I think the loan is about Alexis Sanchez getting his career back on track in a league that suits him, and then somebody goes for him. And if Alexis Sanchez goes to Juventus or Inter and he scores 20 goals, then other teams in Italy will look at him and hopefully we'll be able to offload him with 2 years left on his contract. That would be good. Ollie needs a statement signing. Sancho, the number 7, says Naresh Harani. Look, I've said about Jadon Sancho, I said it a few days ago. Jadon Sancho to Manchester United looked like it was on 2 or 3 months ago. There was a lot of people talking about it. There was a lot of rumours going on. And the current sort of line is that if he was coming back to the Premier League, Manchester United would be his preferred option. And he obviously gets on with people like Rashford and Lingard. But the problem with that is he wants Champions League football and he wants a club with stability. And at the moment, United can offer neither of those things. So, look, if we signed Jadon Sancho, I think positivity around the club would go through the roof. I'd be very excited as well. Will it happen? I don't know. I really don't know at this point. And we'll have to wait and see. Palace valuing Zahara £150 million is ludicrous, says Kalachachi Gaming. It is absolutely ludicrous, mate. It is. It really is. He's not. See, if we bought Zaha, I'd be concerned if we spent 50 million on him. I think he's a risk at 50 million. But at 115 million, you're having a laugh. He's having a laugh. You're having a laugh. I mean, I don't want Zaha back anyway. I actually saw somebody saying to the other day he's just a B-Tech Iwobi. He's slightly better than that, but I don't think he's anything. I don't think he's anything massively special. I really don't. That's my opinion on it. What was your favourite United jersey? Says Philip Richardson. Well, I've disappeared for a minute because I just wanted to grab something. Because I actually do have the new Manchester United jersey here, and we're giving it away. We're giving one away. So that just reminded me. So thanks for that statement, Philip Richardson. There's your new United jersey. We're giving one away. I'll probably keep that one myself, but we will give one away. How you win is you've got to follow me on Instagram, which is at GoldbridgeMark. If you are on Instagram, it's an Instagram exclusive. Follow me on Instagram at GoldbridgeMark. You'll see the latest post of me wearing that, and that's how you enter. So get on Insta and enter. We'll be giving away a shirt for you. It's quite a nice shirt. I prefer this one, but it's a nice one. We've done that one. Nick P says, I would sell Alexis Sanchez for a meal deal, let alone a loan deal. I'm happy Marouane can't tempt him over to China somehow. I'm hoping Marouane... well, I don't know when the Chinese transfer window opens. I'd love him to go to China because I think they would spend a lot of money on him. Zaha said today he's willing to listen to any offer from United, says Chloe Jenkins. Look, Chloe, my stance is, I can't change my stance. I don't think you should go back. I think Pogba I wanted us to, and it's not worked. So why would I want Memphis or Zaha back? I would rather, I want to try something new. I think, it's a bit like Game of Thrones, the good seasons. Like, we're meant to be breaking the wheel, not going round the wheel again. We need to break the cycle. And that's what Ollie's meant to be doing. And to be honest with you, Daniel James from Swansea, I know he's playing in the Championship, but he excites me. He excites me because it's something new. We're trying something new. We're trying to build something. And I think talent's important, but if you sign Daniel James, you're going to get a very hungry player who wants to come to this club, who's excited to come to this club, and will work his arse off. But he's got talent as well. And it might not work, but he's got those things. Memphis Depay, coming back from Lyon, may come back with a bit of attitude and arrogance because that's what he is. Zaha, I just think we need to try something new. That's my opinion. Sell, Teach, Fear, Lidar says, expectations, Wan-Bissaka, De Ligt, and Dembele, Sancho, Icardi. Reality, fly for planks of wood and keep all the dead wood and make a Christmas tree with Ashley Young as the star. I'm going to stay positive, mate, but I understand why people aren't. Let me talk about David De Gea, because this came out yesterday. I was half thinking about doing a video about this. So a couple of experts have come out and said that they're basically trying to shift the blame onto David De Gea. What they're saying is that David De Gea has been offered a contract that will make him the best paid goalkeeper in the world, but it's not enough, and the club should not be held to ransom. Now, is it true? Is it not true? I always find these things a little bit dubious because it's coming from experts, and contract negotiations. We saw with Ander Herrera, we let his contract run down, and then people start talking he was offered 200 grand a week. Bollocks. It's not true. He wasn't offered 200 grand a week by Manchester United. PSG probably offered him that because they didn't have to pay a transfer fee. I think United offered him way below that, and that's why he's gone, and that's United's fault. But some people want to believe something different. And I think with De Gea, look, if De Gea wants 350 grand a week, he's worth it. He's worth it. That's the bottom line. And I don't know why anybody wouldn't believe that, because he's made us relevant for 6 years. We've been crap for 6 years, and he's made us relevant. I know he's not had the best season this year, but I think a lot of that's to do with the contract. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and then he's out of contract. This summer's critical for David De Gea. He either signs the contract or he doesn't, and then he's leaving United. And I think what's happening here is it's what happened with Herrera with some fans. They're trying to twist it to turn De Gea into the villain, and he can never be the villain, because if he wants to stay at this club, but he wants a lot of money to do it, he's justified in doing it. Where are we as a football club? David De Gea came in as a young lad and won the Premier League. And then for the last 6 years, he's basically lost the Spanish number 1 shirt. He's not really done anything domestically here other than fight for 4th and 5th. A Europa League, a Carabao Cup, an FA Cup. It's not really what somebody of David De Gea, i.e. I think he's the best goalkeeper in the world when he's on form, I can understand why he would say, I'm actually, give me a lot of money or I'm going to go. And I don't think it's about the money with De Gea. I think it is about, I've given you 6 years, I should get this wage, and if you don't want to pay it me, I'm going to go. So I actually sympathise with him. I've always said if De Gea decides to leave United, I don't blame him, because he's given a lot. And the funny thing is, he left Atletico Madrid, and I've never done this, but if you compared Atletico Madrid honours since De Gea left and United's honours, I bet he probably would have been better off staying there, as ridiculous as it sounded when he signed. But I think Atletico Madrid have probably won more things. But yeah, I think what's happening here is there's a twist. People are trying to twist it against De Gea, and I just don't think you ever can. I don't think you can. If he wants 400 grand a week, well, that's what Sanchez is on. And the club can be trying to redo the structure at the club. But I think De Gea is within his rights to say, this is what it's going to take to make me stay. I've been here for 6 years. I've seen this cycle 3 times. Nothing's changing. We're back in the Europa League. We're not going to be challenged for the title again. I've got 1 career. Give me the money and I will stay. Or if you don't give me the money, somebody else will and I will go. Because if he runs his contract down, people can say De Gea's not worth 350 grand a week or 400 grand a week. If he runs his contract down, he's a free agent in his prime. Somebody, whether it's Juventus, whether it's because they need a keeper, or whether it's PSG, they will pay him 400 grand a week. So we can be stubborn and say, oh, he's not worth it. It's the same as Herrera. If he runs his contract down, somebody will give him 400 grand a week. Aaron Ramsey's been given over 300 grand a week by Juventus. And the reason they get that money is because they are free. They are players who are worth 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 million pounds, but they're free. So the club that buys them goes, we ain't going to pay a transfer fee, so some of that we'll use on their wages. So De Gea's in a strong position, and I don't agree with United fans turning on him saying he's being greedy. He deserves it. He deserves whatever he gets out of this situation. It's down to the club. Do they want to pay him that? And if the club are saying, well, no, we're not going to pay you that because we're going to stick to a rigid wage structure, fine. That's the club's decision. De Gea will go. And he's got every right to go. That's my stance on that. Brandon Reisner says, on shore, you'd be surprised how your thoughts would change when you put in a mid and front that can cap on his crosses. Unlike this past season, he is a prime Marcelo, Dani Alves or Roberto Carlos. No, but he'd become better, I feel. Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think Luke Shaw in a better attacking team would have a lot more assists. But some people have an agenda against Luke Shaw, and, you know, that's up to them. But I think that it's ridiculous. What I find funny most of all is... in certain people's cases, they moan that Paul Pogba gets picked on, and then on their timeline, they call him Luke Shaw fat. I'm like, the hypocritism is real. It really is. Don't moan about victimisation of Paul Pogba when you're calling our left-back fat. And, I'm not saying... I'm certainly not saying that I'm not that person, because I'll call Lukaku, I'll call anybody. So I'm not being hypocritical. I can take it and I can dish it out. But I don't moan about people being victimised. I'm just saying, I like Luke Shaw. I think it's disgusting how United fans call him fat. But then those same fans are going, oh, but Paul Pogba's a victim of this and that. Don't be so bloody hypocritical. Stop bringing things into it that are non-football related with Luke Shaw. Everyone can like him or everyone can dislike him. And KR Dev says Luke Shaw is trash. I mean, we have got fans in our football club who value players over the football club. That's your player of the year, mate. That's 3 times voted by Manchester United fans player of the month last season. And you are calling him fat and trash. I mean, your opinions are trash as far as I'm concerned, but it's all about opinions. Rashford is a BTEC Welbeck, says Manchester United Devil. I think Rashford's better than that. I think he's had a very bad end to the season, but I do think he's better than that. I do. I think we'll see a different Rashford next season. I think he's got the potential. I really do. I've always liked Rashford, and I think he's a good player, but he's going through a bad period. He really is. But what I would say is, whether you live at Pogba's arse or whether you like Luke Shaw, neither of those two players should be anywhere near the criticism levels of the people like Alexis Sanchez and Romelu Lukaku, who realistically do sod all in a United shirt and should be gone this summer. So that's part of my issue as well. Why is Pogba even a debate point? Why is Luke Shaw even getting hate? These are two players that hopefully will be here at the club next season, part of this new build. Now, Pogba might not be, but Luke Shaw certainly will be. And that's what makes me laugh the most. United fans spend so much time aiming abuse at Luke Shaw and Paul Pogba, and they are not the problems. They've been a problem this season. They've not played particularly well, but on a ranking of shitness to being relatively shit, then there's loads of players under them who should be getting all this abuse. But people want to call Luke Shaw fat and go in on Pogba. Have a word with yourself. Like, you should not be even talking about those two players. They're miles ahead of some of the absolute turd we've got in that squad. But, agendas are agendas. I tend to put my agendas against the real crap, like Jones and Young and Lukaku and Sanchez. They're the real problems as far as I'm concerned. Jam Bon Jovi says, how can people abuse Luke Shaw? He has a title-winning ability. And Amar Isra says, Shaw played in this crap team and he's a top 10 for assists. The agenda is a joke. If he was named Lucas Shaw, they'd be talking him up as world-class as Amar Isra. Well, there is a bit of an agenda against the English players at the moment, which is funny because the media have an agenda against non-English players. So it's a funny old world, and that's why we love it. That's why we love it, isn't it? That's why we love football at the end of the day. I've done Longstaff. I've done Sessegnon. Not in that way. I've done Griezmann. I've done De Ligt. The interesting thing about De Ligt is it came from James Tucker in the Telegraph, who I think is quite a good journalist, and I don't think he spouts a lot of crap. And he was the one who said that De Ligt is interested in Manchester United because it's a project that he might quite fancy. And I think, that goes in his favour as well. I personally don't think Jadon Sancho will come to United anymore, even though loads of people said he would do 2 months ago. And I personally don't think De Ligt will go anywhere other than Barcelona. But the interesting thing about both, we can both cling on to this hope until it doesn't happen, is that they're both 19. So they're 19. So for them to go, I'm not going to go to Manchester United because it's unstable and they're in the Europa League. They've got the time. If they have the attitude and they have the fight in them and the personality, they've got the time to go to a project and make Manchester United great again. Now, do modern footballers want to do that? I don't really think that they do. But De Ligt could come to United and only be 20 when we're back in the Champions League and building towards winning a title. And the same for Sancho. They've got time on their side. And what a development curve it would be to come into a club like that. And what an achievement it would be and a challenge it would be in your career. And it's not like you're going to go to Stoke and not get paid well for it. They'll get paid probably better at United than they would at Barcelona anyway. So, I hope we can pull off a signing like that. I don't know. I'm not, personally, I don't know about you lot, I'm not going to sit here sulking. And sulking in English, if you're not English, means being moody or being unhappy. I'm not going to be unhappy if, come August, we sign 5 players and they're all like Daniel James or an Ndidi or a Harry Maguire or people like that. I would like a real star signing, a Koulibaly or a Sancho or a De Ligt. I do not want a Gareth Bale or a Griezmann or a Dybala because I think that they're all the wrong side of players. But as long as we bring 5 players in that you can see what the club are trying to do, we might not trust the signings. We might be a little bit concerned about the signings because of their age or whatever. But I think that I certainly won't be moody about it. Get Ryan Fraser, says Anthony Staunton. I mean, again, a decent sort of player. I mean, what I would say is if you do go and get Daniel James, if you do get Fraser, if you do get Longstaff, if you do get Tillemans or whoever, it's probably unrealistic that we're going to get into the top 4 next season. It would be a real eye-opener that we are trying to build something for future seasons here. And next season's going to be a real patience builder. I still think that we win a lot of games with those players, but we're going to have to be patient. And also, it's going to require some of the more experienced players to step up. But look, you can spin this summer positively. You can get concerned about it. I personally feel I'm a little bit both. If De Gea and Pogba go, they are massive holes. They're massive holes for any club. It doesn't matter whether you're Man City, United. It doesn't matter whether you're title winners wanting to win the Champions League or United back in the Emmerdale Cup finishing in 6th. If you lose a player like Pogba and De Gea, they are massive losses. And they're not losses that we really need at this point of when we're down low. But we don't know whether those things are going to happen. I personally think Manchester United need to sign an early player. I do. I think we need to sign somebody before the end of June, which is 13 days away, because the summer's short. It is short because you've got the Champions League isn't until the 1st of June. You've then got England playing in the Nations Cup, which people will be interested in around the middle of June. Then you've got 2 weeks till July the 1st and everyone's back on pre-season, where Ollie has said he would like to have people in place. We don't normally sign players when we're on tour. Historically, we don't sign players when we're on tour, hardly ever. And then the season starts at the start of August. So I know we're all getting our feet under the table in relation to this transfer window, but actually there's not a lot of time. And I think United need to, if we're going to have a good summer, we need to make a signing before the end of this month. We need to get the momentum going. We need to get the positivity going. Welcome Ash Rowe, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Please do smash a like on the video. We're nearly at 1,000 likes. How do you become a member, says Jezza TV? There should just be a join button. If it's available in your country, just click the join button. You'll get the little badge next to your name, access to the emojis and the community tab. That reminds me, actually, I forgot to say this and I didn't put the link in the video description. For everybody who wanted to see me playing at Old Trafford, my vlog is up. I've just not put it up on this channel because there's so much going on with transfers at the moment. So if you've not seen me playing at Old Trafford, behind the scenes, in the dressing room, on the pitch, that went up this afternoon. It's on Mark Goldbridge That's Football channel. Or you can go through the homepage of the United Stand YouTube page, click the community tab, and it's the top post there. So thanks for reminding me there. United's Mark Goldbridge playing at Old Trafford, which I did on Wednesday. The vlog is now up. Mark Goldbridge That's Football channel. It's the top video there. Or you can go through the community tab on the homepage. Nick P says, I'm hoping Allegri leaving Juve means Dybala won't be moving as they didn't get on. I really don't want us to sign him. I agree with you, Nick P. I think Pochettino or Pep will go to Juventus, by the way, whatever that means. Vashil has already watched the vlog. I hope it's already good. I have read normal chats as well, Acoustic. I've read about 6. Don't be facetious. The video was lit, says Deep Das. A lot of people have watched it, so hopefully If you've not watched it, get yourself over to That's Football and watch it after this. It's very, very good. And remember, United Stand FC video will be going up over the weekend. Of course, we're going to be doing the transfer stuff. I'm sure there's going to be news to react to. I'll be back at 8 o'clock tomorrow night as well as per usual. Please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. United Stand FC merch is in the link in the video description. And the Goldbridge vlog behind the scenes at Old Trafford. You're going to love it. If you've never been to Old Trafford or you have been to Old Trafford and you're interested in the club, which I'm sure a lot of you are, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff in the tunnel, in the dressing room, on the actual pitch, filmed by me. Mark Goldbridge, That's Football channel, it's on there. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Get your comments in below about everything we've discussed. Missed my super chat. Well done at Old Trafford. Top vlog, says Craig Hempsel. Thanks for the contribution, Greg. I'm sorry if I missed the super chat. I will check tomorrow and get it up as the first one as an apology for that. So thanks everyone. Get and watch the vlog. Get your United Stand kits for the summer. Link in the video description. I'll see you all soon.